All right, welcome back to JonesyCast. I'm Jonesy, and this is the cast. Hey, so basically, what I do is read Reddit, relationship advice, etc., and do video responses. Please like and subscribe if you would like to subscribe. If not, that's okay too. Let's go straight into it. Posted in relationship advice by user throw ra weird roomies 8 minutes ago. I mean, weird roomies right there. That's the whole theme of the post. Video games are ruining our sex life and relationship. I'm not going to read the whole post, but I'm just going to go through it step by step. If you want the full context, please click the link in the description. Boyfriend 37 male and 27 and I 27 female officially moved in together about a month ago. Before I lived alone and he lived with his parents. That's already a problem. And I don't necessarily know if that's his fault that he lives with his parents. Maybe, maybe not, but it's still a problem. So I guess I didn't realize he would just game every second he can. Look, I've read through the post and it seems to be that he's running from something or to something. I mean, I like to game. I'm going to go game after this. But then my girlfriend is going to come home and I'm going to hang out with her because that's what I need to do if I want to keep a girlfriend. But I already know that, right? Like, one thing I'm afraid of is the underlying issues that are not spoken about that build up and then explode. And this is what's happening for you. So it looks like he's running from something or to something. Like, look, video games for men are very attractive. And the reason is because most video games are simulations of hunting, aiming, shooting. They're goal directed. And because they use psychologists to make video games, and they run experiments about, for example, they will run experiments about how often they should put a dopamine inducing tactic in the game, like a loot box, right? And they will cater video games to the male mind, right? So goal directed, all that stuff. So he's having fun and he's seeking fulfillment and he's getting meaning from the relationship, from his relationship with games, right? That's what's happening. Otherwise he wouldn't do it. People don't do things if they don't get anything from it. It's why people smoke. It's why people take drugs. It's why people drink. It's why people get into wrong relationships. It's why people cheat on their partners, etc. People make decisions. And so he's making a decision to put gaming first and either ignore or put into the background your feelings about that, right? So the first thing you do, you don't just fly off the handle, right? And look, I know you've had a couple of fights. That's fine. That happens. It says here at the end, he's putting gaming before everything, before his sleep, before me. I feel like all he wants from me is to leave him alone. Tonight was the first time we had sex in weeks and I was in pain and he left almost right after the go game. Makes me not want to be touched by him again. So that, when I read things like that, that informs me about you and it informs me about women. Not all women, but some women, because you're certainly not the only one that feels unattractive and unattracted to a man who is refusing to actively emotionally connect with you. It's not surprising at all. And then you've got, so Reddit, is there a way to get through to him? Maybe not, but there is a way to solve the problem. And the problem is that you are in a relationship with a man who doesn't love you. There's a very big difference between saying, I love you, and actually loving someone. Love is a verb. It's an act of the will. It's not just a feeling, right? I love you. Well, what does that mean? What that means is I do things that indicate that I value you. That's what I love you means. Yeah. So he's not loving you. He may have feelings for you, but he's not verbing. He's not acting. He's not doing things in congruence with love. Okay. I'm close to putting the relationship on the line, you say. I mean, I don't think you're wrong to feel that way. So it's got here, We moved in together about a month ago. Before I lived alone and he stayed with his parents. Now, here's the deal. You moved in a month ago and it's already gotten like this. It's not going to get any better without either reformation or revolution. So reformation of a state is the slow changing. Revolution of a state, and you can interchange government for state here, but revolution of a state is the violent transformation immediately. And right now you have a man who is in a state. He's in a state where for some reason he wants to escape from the real world, which in today's world isn't surprising. And given the generation of men that are around these days is not surprising. So you've got a man who is in a state where he's trying to escape from reality. He's trying to inhabit a new reality because in that new reality, he finds fulfillment. Now, look, what I'm about to say is not a diss on you, but what I'm about to say keeps it from being a one-sided story. There is a reason that he is choosing games over you. One of the reasons is that it's a habit. The other reason is because it's easier. The other reason is because it's more dopamine inducing. Because you've got to remember, relationships are hard work. It's not just you that he's unattracted to over the video games. It's a relationship. Maybe he's in this relationship because he feels he has to be. Maybe he's in it because it's convenient. Maybe there's so many men that don't understand that relationships take homework and hard work. Homework and hard work, okay? The hard work is getting in there and doing the business of relationships, talking about things, negotiating about things, etc. But the homework is the thinking about things, the really mulling over, what do I want out of this? Why do I want it? Is this person in my life up to the standards that I've set myself, right? So it appears to me that he's not doing that homework and hard work. You have a choice to make. A, just fuck off, or B, try to make it work and try to do the things you know and the things you don't know by researching, reading books, etc. So you've got leave him or stay with him, right? Now, leave him is easy, but it's costly because you've just moved in with him. Staying with him is costly and it's hard because you don't know what's going to happen if you stay with him. You don't know if you'll be successful. You know that if you break up with him, that the breakup will be successful and you'll be able to go further, but you don't know the result of that, okay? But with staying with him, you're giving him the chance to reset his behavior, but he has to have the incentive to do that. So my question for you is, what is it about you that is not as good as this video game? Now, it may be nothing because he may just be a dumbass and he can't figure out that he's got a good woman in front of him. But you should ask him that question, because what I just did was to put the onus on you, but what you need to do is put the onus on him. You need to ask him, listen, and in the very calmest way, not accusatory at all. Okay, so here's what you do. You have a conversation with him and you don't go into the conversation with the intent to break up or stay, and you don't go into the conversation thinking like with any preconceived notions. This is just a fact-finding conversation. Okay, you go in and say, look, have you noticed that I'm getting frustrated because you're gaming all the time? Right? And then he says yes. And then you go, okay, why do you think I'm getting frustrated all the time? And then he says X. And then you go, okay, is there something we can do to ensure that I'm not getting frustrated and you get the gaming you want? Right? And the point of that conversation is not to find out if there is something that can be done to solve this. The point of the conversation is to figure out whether or not he's thought about that. Because if he hasn't thought about that, then what are we doing here? Like, if he hasn't noticed that you're going through some shit as a consequence of his gaming addiction, and if he hasn't noticed that he needs to do something about it, and he hasn't thought about solutions to the problem, then what are we doing here? All he's doing is being selfish. Now, it's one thing to be selfish, but it's another thing to be selfish and not understand that you're being selfish. So, listen, me and my missus had this. we had a couple of issues and we sorted it out, right? I had to reduce the level of my gaming. And she had to improve the level of her tolerance. Okay. So there may be a 50-50 split. It could be a 70-30, could be a 60-40, whatever. But there is a negotiable position here that you two can come to. The question is just whether or not he's willing to do that. And that's what you can find out. Here is what I would do before you do any of this, okay? You need to sit yourself down and you need to write down a few things. I want you to use a diary with a padlock on it, hide it somewhere in the bedroom. Like, I want you to write it down with your hand. Don't just put it as a list on your phone because we forget that shit. Heading. What do I want in a relationship? That's heading 1. 2. What do I not want in a relationship? 3. What do I want and not want in a man? 2, 4. What do I want and not want in myself? Write it all down. Want in a relationship, don't want. Want in a man, don't want. Want in myself, don't want. Okay? And the reason you do that is because that will be the compass that you use to decide how your future goes, because it's your standards. It's not my standards. It's not his standards. It's not your parents' standards or your friend's standards. It's your standards. Now, those standards can be informed by other people, but at the end of the day, you're the one writing them down, okay? So here's what you do. You write down those things, and you put it aside, and you come back a week later, and then you read it, right? And you think, hey, maybe I need to make a change here. Maybe I don't. All good. Then you try to have a negotiation and a discussion with him, and you can compare him to the kind of man that you wrote down that you wanted. So one thing I imagine you want is a man who has the capacity and the intention to negotiate with me for what we both want. That's what you want in a man. That's what I want in a woman. That's what any person with sense wants in a partner. Okay. So, and that's what I've got in a woman. My girl can fucking negotiate. She doesn't like it, neither do I, but she can. Sometimes it takes multiple days, and you need to understand that you're not going to get solutions in a single conversation. Okay. And that's okay. So that's what I would do. Write down those 6 things. Want, don't want relationship. What, don't want yourself. Want, don't want in a man. Not him in a man, because then you compare him to your ideal man. Okay. And some of them are non-negotiables and some of them are negotiables. That's what you do. Then you go have conversations with him, and then you look at your list and go, well, he doesn't measure up. He doesn't measure up. You know, I mean, look, at some point you've got to make a decision. And I think you know that because you've said, I'm close to putting the relationship on the line. This has been going on for a month. I can guarantee you that it will not change unless you do something, because he doesn't have an incentive to do something, right? Listen, I've rambled for a bit and I'm just some guy on the internet, so you don't need to take my advice, but I hope this video has been helpful and I definitely wish you the best. Like and subscribe. Bye-bye.